Hello, everybody. Brian Corey here from the Necronomicast worldwide headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska. I just wanted to thank you all for listening. And before I get to my episode featuring the great Amanda Paulson, I just wanted to point out that I'm shaking things up a little bit here. I decided to put together some new theme music, some opening theme music for the show, and I wanted to thank and acknowledge Mr. Scott Zimmerman on drums, Nate Barber on bass, Jim Dodson on guitar. I'm playing the keys and I mixed the thing, and it's entitled Brand New Graveyard. It's supposed to harken back to a time when radio shows and TV shows had really interesting and unique theme music. So there you go. Make sure you support all the creatives out there, whether it's visual art or musical art or any kind of art. Podcasters, documentary filmmakers, musicians, you name it. Support real people doing real creative things. And with that, here's my conversation with Amanda Paulson. From Omaha, Nebraska, the capital city of the historic haunted heartland, my name is Brian Corey, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all, young and old, to this special episode of the world-famous Necronomicast. Episode 307 is here, my friends, and with it brings my guest, Amanda Paulson. She's a paranormal investigator, public speaker, and medium based in the Pacific Northwest with over 17 years of experience and tens of millions of views across multiple social media platforms. You can catch her on season 1 and 2 of Ghost Files, catch her in print, catch her on Amazon Prime in the paranormal true crime documentary The Lady of the Lake and Surrounded by Spirits, and the upcoming series Historically Haunted with Amy Bruni. So find out why Amanda Paulson is an important and emerging voice in the world of paranormal research right here on Necronomicast. And now calling out on the Necronomicast Newsmaker hotline, I've got paranormal investigator extraordinaire, the great Amanda Paulson on the line. Amanda, so cool to have you on the show. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's a weird night, man.
Girl, telling me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here, though. I kind of feel like it's due time. I'm very familiar with your podcast. You've had a lot of my friends on, and so I'm just really stoked to be here.
Well, I've had you in my living room a number of times when I'm watching these great documentaries that you're a part of. So I want to talk to you about like all the content that you make, prettyeffandspooky.com, your website, your cool blog. I got some questions to ask about your blog. So yeah, you're just one of those people in the know. You're just a mover and shaker of all things paranormal in a good way, in a respectful, nice, good, hardworking, courageous, decent way, which isn't always easy to find in the paranormal, sadly nowadays. But yeah, you're doing great things. So, for my listeners who haven't encountered you on the screen or through social media or whatnot, or through your writing, tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
Of course. So I am Amanda Paulson. I run a blog called Pretty Effin' Spooky on all social media platforms where I share my paranormal adventures and investigative work. But I've been investigating the paranormal since 2008 when I first joined a ghost hunting team in the state of Montana, which is where I'm from. So I have a lot of years behind me in my ghost hunting work. I started as a very traditional boots on the ground, looking for irrefutable proof of the paranormal kind of ghost hunting. But in recent years, you can find me online sort of waxing poetic about the paranormal or philosophizing many different things in high strangeness and paranormal research. So that's kind of a little bit about me. That's the abridged version.
So you started with the group route of doing paranormal investigations. Did you start off in cemeteries or haunted buildings, or what got you started in investigating anomalous phenomena?
Yeah, so I had paranormal experiences since I was a kid. And I hated it. I thought it was super scary. And I was raised Baptist. And so there wasn't any room for ghosts in the framework of my religion. It was evil or it didn't exist. And so I was really searching for answers by the time I turned 18 in 2008. I just outed my age, but that's fine. Whatever. But I was 18, which is important to say because, you think I'm a grown up now. I'm an adult and I need to go and seek these answers for myself now that I don't have my family, telling me I'm not allowed. And so I found on MySpace this ghost hunting group, which was very good group. They were great. They had me interview with them. They had me apply, come to an interview, a group interview. We had monthly meetings. We paid monthly dues. I mean, I just loved the way that they operated. It was so above board. And we were doing investigations for haunted homes, for haunted businesses. I mean, we were truly in the thick of it with, our investigative work. But really, I think we came from it from a perspective of wanting to find proof of what was happening. And then we had some people we'd call in to clear out these places of the paranormal phenomena. But a lot of us were really inspired by early paranormal media. So 2008, what's on TV at that time. It was Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, Ghost Adventures. And there was a lot of focus on equipment and taking this quote, air quotes, scientific approach to it. And that's really where this group kind of took off from. And I was with them for a few years until I moved to Washington State, left them, took a break from the paranormal for a while, lived my 20s as any 20-year-old does. I went and partied and did whatever I wanted to do.
For sure.
And I didn't want to think about ghosts for a while. I was always kind of vexed by ghosts for many years. I just kind of felt like it was a scary thing that was a part of my life. But it took me many years to decide that it was something I loved and was interested in a fascinated sort of love. I grew a love for it. But for many years, I was like, man, I wish I wasn't haunted. Or I wish I wasn't vexed by this paranormal phenomena. It really caused a lot of kind of confusing times for me in my young years. Sorry, I just went on a long tangent.
No, that's super interesting because earlier you said you were younger and you were having these experiences and so people in your family, so was this in your home that you were having experiences in, your family home?
Yeah, so I was raised by my grandma, and my first experience was in this duplex that we lived in. I call it this blue duplex. It was the blue duplex. It was from the 70s. It was crappy, honestly, and I started experiencing ghosts. I would have these terrible nightmares. Things would move on their own. I just knew inherently at 7 years old that there was somebody else or some other presence there.
Yeah.
That was very scary to me. And then that kind of followed me. We ended up living in other places later on. And I don't think that entity necessarily followed me, but I think that now, knowing what I know now, I think that maybe I was more open to it. I was more perceptive to it. And it never really went away. And it always scared me well into my 20s, truly. And so probably only until, the last handful of years have I really gotten a handle on the fear element of the paranormal, which is where I think now I shine. But I love when I'm talking to people, I love to mention, it wasn't a love at first sight thing with ghost hunting and the paranormal. It was very scary, and I still grapple with the fear sometimes. So
wow. So I've read that you are described as psychic, mediumistic. Is that self-described? I mean, are people just attributing that to you, or do you feel like you are?
That's an interesting question. So how funny. I guess I gave that title to myself, which is interesting to think of it that way. Because I've always been known as Ghost Hunter for a very long time. And that's kind of the container that I lived in or existed in for a long time. And then within the last few years, I really honed and practiced my ability to be a psychic medium. And so I started, telling people that I'm also a psychic medium. And I'm very much on the end of things of like, I believe we all have the ability to do mediumship. I think some are better suited for it than others, or it comes easier to some than others. But yeah, it was something that I didn't really accept about myself earlier on. But in recent years, I've decided that it's something, not decided, but I've just come to see that it's something that I cannot ignore. And it's a part of my life.
Sorry to dig into your past so much, but like grandma was not into this. So she was Baptist and didn't understand it or didn't approve of this at all?
Yeah. So grandma was Baptist. This was Montana, not necessarily Southern Baptist, but she was from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So, a little bit of that. And yeah, it was more like this has to be evil or bad.
Sure.
Like, because they just don't believe that there's really any room for like purgatory or the in between, or that it didn't exist. But early on, it was kind of like, we don't want to hear it. And so then I just didn't share it for many years. And now they know what I do now. And my family has become like more accepting of it,
mm-hmm.
but they're still very, very religious, which there's nothing wrong with that. We don't share the same belief system, but it just doesn't make sense for them.
Yeah.
And I respect that and I get it, so it's like, that's okay. But I have heard some stories over the years. I've collected stories from them and from my grandma and my sisters and like other family members. And I'm like, you guys have had paranormal experiences that you just didn't want to address. It's interesting. They just kind of push it aside. I actually just had a really interesting conversation with a sister of mine who's experiencing sleep paralysis right now. She's a handful of years younger than me, which is the same age I was when I was having sleep paralysis.
Ooh,
and she told me that the couple entities she saw during paralysis, which she believes are demons, she said she described how they looked and the details of them, how they looked as people. And they were the exact same entities I had seen in my sleep paralysis.
Wow.
6 years ago. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
And I know that's very interesting. And I know that there's people that I've talked to, like when I've gone to investigate like people's houses and they're like, can we go talk outside? Like they don't want to talk in the house. So perhaps grandma had some things she just didn't even want to, I'm just guessing, but I mean like, like what if grandmas or people in the family back even before her had things and they think, by not talking about them, by shunning them is keeping evil at bay, so maybe you come from a long line of, your sisters are experiencing things. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's cool. But also I'm at peace with, if they're not like, it's not like I have this like long lineage of like, I come from witches or like a coven, like I wish that would be so cool. But like, I'm not like the 10th generation ghost hunter or anything like that. But like, and I accept that and I'm at peace with that. But it's cool. It's cool to get little nuggets of information along the way of like times when they've had experiences too. And it makes you wonder if there's something to, just deciding to follow that thread versus pushing it down, like could they have ended up here had they had more curiosity and acceptance of it? I don't know, but it's interesting.
MySpace. So you ran into these people from, and no, I'm not, I totally was on MySpace back in the day when it was a thing. So, so you found some like-minded people, some good experiences that kind of kept you going. Then you moved to Washington State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I'm in Spokane, Washington. So Eastern Washington now. And I've been here since I moved from Montana. So I've been here for a while, but yeah, my ghost hunting group that I was on, regardless of our start on MySpace, it was MySpace, which is funny. We would all be on MySpace interacting with each other through MySpace had it not been for Instagram and like Meta. But anyway, It's funny to think about how we would be interacting back then. But yeah, they were great. I still utilize a lot of what I learned from them today. They were like very type A almost, like for lack of a better term, with how they investigated. We had forms. We
Oh,
log
yeah,
things,
sure.
and I still do that to this day, and I love it. So I'm very analytical, and I love that. But yeah, so I'm in Washington State now, though, and no team. I have no team here. I don't know that I will be on a team. I have lots of people here that I love and who are into spooky stuff, but I have not ran into a team who would have me. So,
Oh, wow. Oh, really?
well, I mean, not to my knowledge. I
I
don't know.
thought,
They didn't reject me. That sounded weird. They weren't like, you can't.
yeah.
But I've met some, and it wasn't. They didn't have an opening at the time, so
I see.
I haven't joined a team. But now it's I'm kind of doing my own thing and on my own path. So that's
Yeah.
okay.
Now here I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. So there's quite a few people that are very into this kind of thing, and I investigate with people on occasion. I'm not a member of a team. I mostly just get calls for myself, and sometimes some people don't want 3 or 4 or 5 guys coming to your place, or 3 or 4 or 5 people coming in, and they just feel more comfortable just talking. And the way that I kind of investigate, it's kind of a more of a historical kind of a thing too. Like I'll listen to their stories and notate occurrences and things that are happening around the house. But it's very fascinating for me to kind of go back and look at the history of the property, take a look at what's happened there before, the different people that have lived there before. I tell you, one of the craziest cases I've had not too long ago was a house that was only 30 years old, and the people that were having the disturbances were the third family to live in that house, and every other family since it was constructed are still alive. So like nobody died there. And so just kind of going through. So it makes me, and I've been questioning like what a ghost or what a haunting is. And I know you do the same. And I want to talk to you about you have a great theory, the paranormal emotive touch point theory. So the more and more I go through and read about different cases and read old psychical journals, like from the PSR and things like that, and talk to people and come across different events or occurrences or disturbances and things, how it's not always just dead person, tragic circumstance. It's not always that. And sometimes it's not that at all. So I know you've done some explorations and writings about that. You're a good writer too, by the way. Did you
Thank you.
Did you do writing in college?
I did not go to college. I am uneducated. I do not have a higher education. But I appreciate that. And you're foreshadowing news that I will have down the road.
No.
About, yeah. So, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Does that mean your news, like with a pen and paper kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
I'm very superstitious, so I'm not saying it yet.
Don't.
But foreshadowing.
I understand. Very good. Very good. So, but like I said, I read through your blogs, and you've got great writing and very interesting, like this paranormal emotive touch point theory that you wrote about in 2023. For those that haven't read it, well, can you explain a little bit about it? And then, since I got you on the line, I thought maybe, do you have any updates to, or some things that you're thinking about along those lines? Because I found it very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the paranormal emotive touch point theorizes that there are places or moments in time where the veil is thinner and the other side is easier to reach out to or easier to connect with. And they're shown to us through what I call odd emotions, ODD, odd emotions. And odd emotions is a blanket term I gave to emotions that are anomalous in nature, not often felt in day-to-day life, and give us just a very visceral, weird feeling. And these odd emotions would be things like deja vu, nostalgia, synchronicity, liminality. And of course, synchronicity is not an emotion, but I'm blanket terming it here. Yeah. But if you think about the last time you had really visceral nostalgia and how truly weird that can feel sometimes, it gives you a feeling in the pit of your stomach or in your chest. And so I surmise that feelings like this, that cause this kind of physical reaction to us, I surmise that they are intrinsically related to paranormal phenomena. And with the paranormal emotive touch point, I theorize that there are places out there that give us odd emotions sometimes when the other side wants to communicate. And sometimes when we have odd emotions, when we have a bout of nostalgia or deja vu, that it creates a paranormal emotive touch point. And if we were to stop in that very moment, we could communicate with any entity on the other side easier. So if you wanted to stop in a moment of deja vu and bring out your ghost hunting equipment, you could reach out and you could say, what is this deja vu trying to tell me right now? Who is on the other side trying to reach out? Or you could use it and reach out to somebody specifically. If my grandpa, for instance, passed in 2018. And so sometimes if I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll stop and I'll bring out my equipment and I'll try to reach out to grandpa and see what he has to say. And the results that I've gotten back have been really, really phenomenal and really eye-opening. And it seems that if we pay attention to these emotional cues, basically, that we have more efficiency or more effectiveness in communicating with paranormal phenomena as a whole. Yeah. So basically, the short of it is that the paranormal emotive touch point theory and my odd emotions theories are there to kind of present to us centering our own emotions, like our living emotions, into the discussion of paranormal phenomena and how we investigate it, which is very counterintuitive to what we've been doing, which is centering the dead, and which is very great, respectful. You know, of course, we want to do that sometimes. But I think we could also have a lot of really meaningful experiences if we center our own emotions and let them guide us and let them be almost like sort of beacons for us to connect easier.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy. I like that.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned synchronicity in there too. And I know it's not an emotion, but it is something that can certainly bring about emotions and really, rock your world when something like that happens. And I had a person tell me a story, and I got their permission to speak about it. They didn't know what to think about it. I was giving a lecture in a library, and one of the library workers listened to it. And when I was done and I was packing up my stuff, they were like, "Hey, do you want to hear a story?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So she told me the story about there's a famous bell tower here in town, and long story short, it's on city campus of the college here in Omaha. And she was on her grandmother's heavenly birthday. Her grandmother died like 4 or 5 years beforehand. And on her grandmother's heavenly birthday, she was like really missing her grandma. And her grandma was a piano teacher, piano player. And she had a favorite piece of music that her grandma always played. And it's Für Elise by Beethoven. And as she was making her way through campus, just not really paying attention to what was going on, just kind of going through the motions of a spring day in Omaha, surrounded by hundreds of people, as she passed underneath the bell tower to get to a building on campus, the bell tower started to play Für Elise. And she, like, the way she told me the story, I could feel it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She had such an emotional response, but she said she could smell like her grandma, like a whiff of her grandma's perfume. She could feel her grandmother. She was transported back to sitting on the floor next to the piano, listening to grandma play while she looked at comic books. Like she was there, and grandma was there with her as that was playing. And she's like, "Do you think that's a paranormal experience?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, that's a paranormal experience."
Yeah. And that's almost an exact example of what I'm talking about and I would say the same thing. That's absolutely furthermore, not only is it just a paranormal experience, but you are connecting with your grandmother. She's connecting with her spirit. I truly believe that. Yeah. And it kind of gets into, I don't mean to interject in your story, but it also kind of weaves into the conversation on, what a spirit is. You said that in the beginning, that you've been contemplating that. And, when you start to accept that, that energy and spirits in these things that we're trying to understand, that they don't follow the same laws and rules that we do as humans, that we can comprehend right now. When you start to really understand that and give room for that, I think then that's when you can kind of understand that I think spirits can come and go. I think that spirits can kind of, I always call it like flow back into this like river of consciousness. And sometimes I think they can become an amalgamation of, this is also where you get into egregores, like living energy. And there's all of these possibilities, and it does not need to be the soul of a dead person who has unfinished business, you know? And so I think in that case with her and her grandmother, I think that her grandmother in that moment, who knows what else was going on for her in that moment. Maybe she was in a very liminal time in her life, you know, like maybe, I don't know, maybe she was going through something at work or a divorce or whatever. And so maybe her grandmother decided to come forward in that way and talk to her, but that does not mean that her grandmother's soul is stuck here on earth, you know, It needs to be passed on, which I think is where I get very passionate about that. Cause I just wouldn't want that to be the truth for me. I don't want to get stuck here. You know, I just like to think that spirits and phenomena as a whole have more autonomy than we give it credit for, you know. But
I absolutely agree. And like, you know, I've talked about this before with other people, and they're like, well, do you think her ghost and this and that? And I'm like, no, I don't think like the ghost of her grandmother got into the control room of the bell tower and manipulated the controls and pushed buttons in order to play that song. Cause it's a programmable thing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't think the ghost of her grandma manipulated the controls of the machinery to do this. I think it was just some kind of, it's the mystery of life. You know, it's like, it's one of these things. It's like, somehow her grandmother knew that she was sad, perhaps. And just together, somehow her favorite song, the music, the bell tower, the spring day. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. And it's
also kind of like the burnt toast theory too, like where the burnt toast theory is like, you know, little tiny decisions like could completely change the course of like how things happen. You know what I mean? And so like if you burn your toast and that means you could have like gotten hit by a car or whatever, but like that the Fur Elise playing on the clock tower was always going to play, but where she was at in that moment to hear it, you know, like maybe something happened further back too that like, but that's the magic of synchronicity. And like, I think to a degree, it's supposed to be a little bit of a mystery. I don't know if we're meant to even completely understand it yet, you know, but I love that story.
And I'm writing about it in a book that I'm writing and kind of exploring it. And the book will, I joke, but it'll probably never come out because I'm always like rewriting and rethinking and like re-examining all these different parts of it. And I'm like, I don't know if I can like close the door or shut the cover of the book that I'm writing on, because it's just these mysteries just keep unraveling it. And you think of things in different ways, you know?
Yeah. Some great books take like 10 years to come out, as they say.
Jeez. Well, yeah. Well, that's super interesting. And I knew like talking to you would shed some light on things like that. That's very interesting. Like, you know, like deja vu and synchronicity, things like, you know, like coincidence. It's really a bullshit, you know, term in a lot of ways, because things are happening in a way that seem to be connected, but we don't know why they're connected. So we just throw a blanket term of coincidence. It doesn't mean anything. It's just one of those things. And I'm like, I don't know. Like coincidence, a synchronicity, you know, a thing, you know?
Yeah. It's just like anything that makes us feel from within to stop and say, oh, that was weird. Like I'm really fascinated by that, by the moments that we have where we stop and we go, that feels weird, or I feel weird, or the vibes are weird, you know? And I think that in those moments is where there is magic that's untapped and paranormal experiences that are untapped. And so I'm just trying to propose to people to stop in those moments and like reach out to the other side and have a more, you know, back and forth relationship with the other side versus having us have to go to haunted locations or having us have to be in areas where tragedy happened, where ghosts supposedly will be. I just don't think that that's necessary. I think we can listen to ourselves and pay attention to those anomalous feelings and then reach out to the other side at those moments too, and not have to have a traditional haunting.
Well, for sure. And people, you know, ask like, hey, where's your favorite haunted location, or where do you like to go to investigate? And I get what they're saying. I mean, it's important to kind of know the history of like, you know, places that are important to paranormal investigators. And and to support like restoration efforts and support places that are ethical in the upkeep of properties and folklore and legends. I mean, that's super important, but I'm like, you can investigate anywhere.
Hmm.
I would say that there's another kind of case or whatever that I'm writing about in a brand new hotel in the Omaha area, built within the last 10 years. And just like, I just think like whenever there's like a compounded emotions, or, people go to hotels for whatever reason. People go because they're weary on the road and they need a place just to take, get some sleep while they travel across the country. Maybe they're traveling across the country for a funeral. Maybe they're traveling across the country for a wedding, or to see a loved one, or to say goodbye to a loved one, or they're in the midst of a scary move. Like there's a million reasons why people go to hotels. And as we all know, lots of crazy things happen in hotels as well. and I just think like that, like this thing I'm writing about this brand new 10-year-old hotel with that there was, people were having experiences in and being disturbed by, I just think like it doesn't have to be the decrepit, falling apart insane asylum. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Those are cool and all. I'm not putting anything down, but I just think it's just such a wide mystery, and the universe is so vast, and our planet is so vast, like to investigate, just to be like, it has to be an old place where somebody died. I think,
Yeah.
and I that's why another reason I wanted to have you on, because you seem to be a very free thinker in terms of like processing this information that's coming in.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. What am I trying to say? What I've believed has shifted and changed. Of course, I'm 35 now, and of course, I've had many different ideas about what paranormal phenomena is and why it does what it does over the years. And so I understand that what I know now may shift and change later too. But so I always try to be like transparent with people and be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. None of us know what's going on. Like, and I grew up in a Baptist church. I grew up with lots of rules and lots of hard facts based on the Bible, like, no offense to people who like the Bible, but, and I just really rejected that, and it didn't resonate with me. And so I try really hard to be very open with the way that I believe, and be willing to be wrong, or be willing to have my mind changed, and to philosophize and talk my way through things with other people and with my community. Because not just the paranormal community, but like all of my communities that I exist within, like, community is so important to me. And I think in general, not just for the reasons we're told it's important, but because that's where we can talk like this and have discussions about things we don't understand, and hopefully come a little bit closer to an understanding, or to a way we can talk about it, So I'm just very, very inspired by bringing people more acceptance and an open way of thinking. Maybe because I didn't have much of that when I was younger. And felt like I wasn't being listened to for a long time when I was young. So, yeah, not to bring back in childhood trauma, but like,
no,
I mean, we all have childhood trauma. And so, yeah, I'm just very inspired to like bring a bit more open thinking and like free thinking to this space. And there's a lot of great people out there doing a lot of great things, especially in the last few years. I think the field has been moving in a really cool direction. It still has its own issues, of course, but yeah, I mean, in a weird way, I think that 2020 did this field a favor by giving us a lot of time, like online with each other, creating these communities, and like a lot of time. That's a whole, actually, I won't get into that, but that's a whole other thing in like a book in itself, but
right.
Like about how the pandemic like shifted and changed the paranormal field. But yeah, anyway, I'm just very passionate about not only the paranormal, but about the living people who interact with it, and like as much, if not more, So that's where I kind of come in, is like, I'm not always putting the dead first, to be honest. Like, not that I'm disrespecting them, but that's just not where my priorities are.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And talking about like emerging voices and different people in the paranormal, it's cool to see like people like Josh Darren, who's a friend of mine. I had him come to Omaha, and he was over here in my house hanging out, and just listening to him not just talk about his experiences in the South and about ghosts and hauntings and his background, but just talking to him about like what's going on now, like what's going on in your life now, and talking about like how that affects how you think about history and the paranormal and prejudice and all kinds of things, and also college football. And we were talking about all
and
kinds
other
of stuff.
normie stuff.
Yeah. Because it was like another way for us to get to know each other and to bond and to communicate, and also, to see like what each other was about. It wasn't just ghosts and scary stuff, That's for sure.
Which, like, I mean, as much as I have made ghosts and scary stuff my life, we still all have different parts about ourselves. It's crazy. Sometimes I think we forget because we exist within these little ecosystems online of like the paranormal community in particular. And it's so funny. Sometimes somebody will post something online, and Josh makes me think of it like with his coffee shop. He's like making a latte, and I'm like, oh yeah, he has a job. Like, and you kind of forget, like you're like, oh, these are regular people that are out in their other communities all the time. And I just like have such a passion for people in general. I'm just like, man, I love people. They're so funny.
Yeah. Online identities. You're like, oh, Brian Corey, he's the podcaster that likes ghosts. Amanda Paulson, researcher, investigator on these documentaries, likes ghosts. But like before we got on the air, you even said like, well, I got off work and I've got, plenty of time tonight to talk and whatnot. And then like when Josh was over at my house, he got a call from his wife because the bean grinder at their coffee shop was malfunctioning. And he's like, okay, you got to take the filter and you got to take the gears and you have to do this or that, whatever it was, it's just, it's like real people with real interests, the real life interjects itself in.
I'm always amazed by it too. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, that's so cool. Like you have a regular job. But then for me, I'm self-deprecating about it. I'm like, I have a normal job. You don't want to hear about it. Like, I don't want to talk about it. But no, I actually just switched jobs recently. Speaking of normie jobs and normie things, I worked in marketing for a bit, which is like soul sucking. If you want to talk about evil. No offense to anyone who works in marketing. Do you work in marketing? Oh no, did I offend you?
I do not. Okay. I have not been offended by anything in this conversation. So.
Okay, yeah. I just went back into. I just changed jobs back into banking. I work at a credit union, and that's what I've done for the majority of my adult life is credit union work. So. And I don't care who knows that. That's even in one of my documentaries. I mentioned I'm a banker. In one of my documentaries, I mentioned I'm a banker and I don't like it. It doesn't really fit my vibe. But here I am back at it. Got to make money somehow.
Well, you brought up your documentaries, and your jobs must be cool with you doing these documentaries because you've been recently in a bunch of them. I watched A Lady in the Lake, and I watched Surrounded by Spirits. And then I know you got a new project coming out. I don't know if you can talk about it or not. You can say yes or no if you can talk about it.
I don't have any updates on Historically Haunted with Amy Bruni and Sarah Lemos. But for listeners, keep an eye out for that because there should be updates very soon. It's just I know that she's focusing on editing and making it perfect. So
For sure. And I don't want to ever be like, I'm not trying to breaking news.
I genuinely don't have any news. I wish I did.
But you filmed it. You filmed it, right? It's
we did. We did it. Yeah, we filmed it. We did the thing. We filmed for a week straight. I've never paranormal investigated so much in 1 week in my life. Yeah. Like it was just bam, 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 bam. And it was incredible. It was one of the best experiences of my life. So I am as excited for that project to come out as everyone else is. So
I filmed a documentary. Part of a documentary like 2 years ago with here, I'll just bleep this out. And we're back. So, I mean, like there's that experience. But so, your job must be cool to let you go off and do these things. And how exciting, I've been to a Strange Escapes with Amy Bruni and it was so much fun. Like she is very professional and very detail oriented. And it was a great experience. Like, I know like And of course, like Kindred Spirits, a classic ghost hunting TV show, her work with ghost hunters and everything. So I know it's going to be top notch
Absolutely.
whenever that comes out. So that's pretty cool that you got that. But you've also been in these other documentaries like Lady in the Lake, which explores a cool, I don't mean cool, but I mean like, it's an interesting true crime, paranormal kind
cool
of
murder.
Cool.
You were going to say cool murder, huh?
I wasn't going to say cool murder. I was going to say cool true crime story, but that's dumb. Like a true crime story that's interesting, fascinating with, a confluence of the paranormal in there, filmed at Lake Crescent, Port Angeles. Is that right? Washington? Yeah. So that's available for people to watch now. And how did you get involved with that? Because you are featured in that pretty prominently,
Yeah. That back in October 2020, I got asked onto that project. And the production company was based out of Seattle and I'm in Spokane. So they were looking at like local-ish investigators, looking for investigators. And initially I was just going to kind of pop in for like a 15-minute like investigation of the paranormal claims that are related to this noir true crime story, which is from like the 1930s. And as filming began and as I began researching and working with the director and the crew, the story sort of unfolded in a way that created sort of a hero's journey in a way of like it ended up following me and my experience researching the story and sort of the way that I don't know, let it evolve me and I don't know, went about time with the story and through like literally 2 years of filming. So it took a very long time to film and a very long time to come out. But I've heard since then that that's pretty standard. So, but I'm very proud of it. It's the first time I've ever been on camera in my life. I'm very proud of that. I just went and did it. I was like, okay, I can do this, and I was lucky enough to go investigate the Olympic Peninsula, which is incredible. And I spent significant time out there. I researched ley lines out there. I was researching, I was getting into Sasquatch phenomena, fairy phenomena. It really cracked my brain open to all sorts of different high strangeness and truly changed the trajectory of my work as a paranormal researcher, that project. And so the final product of it and the fact that people can watch it now, I'm like, that's so great. Like, please watch it. It's a great film. Also, the experience of it means almost more, I think, than like the finished product, because it's just like even my paranormal motive touch point theory and everything was born of experiences I was having filming on the Olympic Peninsula. Mm-hmm. So yeah, huge time of my life was spent doing the Lady of the Lake.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Yeah. And you got another one out there, Surrounded by Spirits. I saw that. I know that's available on Tubi. I want people to know that Lady of the Lake, I think, is available on Amazon Prime. And if it's other places too, please let me know. I'll be sure to link to these things and everything on your website too, on the show notes. Yeah, so you seem very natural in front of the camera. That was your first time? Because I'll tell you about my first time on camera.
What'd you do?
I got asked, I did 2 TV shows. They a company licensed an episode of my podcast for use for narration on a TV show on A&E called Murder in the 21st. And they used snippets of my show to kind of push the narration. The show didn't have any reenactments and things like that. So they used real footage, real jailhouse confessions, real news footage, things like that to highlight these stories, which I thought was pretty cool. Murder in the 21st was like 21st century. So it was like 21st century way of telling a true crime show. So I thought that was really cool. And that led me to go on a TV show. I was on an episode on the Oxygen Network called Kill or Be Killed. And that was on camera. So I drove to Kansas City where this crime took place. The producers had me go out there and I talked about this case. They kind of prepped me on it. I researched on it, whatnot. So I was there in Kansas City for about 2 hours. in the chair for about an hour or so, and there's like 43, 45 seconds of me on television. But I mean, it's cool though. I mean, I got it. I got the cred, I got the resume thing on there, but I was like, for a brief second while they're I was wearing a tie, and where they're putting the microphone through the tie so it wouldn't be seen and whatnot, I was just like, holy shit. Like, what am I had a little bit of imposter syndrome. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I was just like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Don't say, don't say, don't say, like, like don't say the crutch words.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. There was one of the most scathing review we got on The Lady of the Lake. And I think it's the only one, but truthfully, I kind of stopped reading them.
Oh, don't read the comments.
The Lady of the Lake is a great movie. Listeners, it is a good documentary about true crime and paranormal. And like, if you don't like that stuff, you're not going to like it. But like, anyway, one of the reviews, it was like talking about how the subjects in the documentary, I think being me, were fidgeting with their hands and that it looked unprofessional. And I think that they were kind of reviewing it, like telling the director, like it was weird that it was kept in. But I know for a fact it was me. And I'm just, because there's these scenes where you can just see me. I'm just picking at my cuticles. I'm picking at my nails. I'm like, I'm a human, Right. And I was like, I just laughed at it because I was like, if only he knew. I went from like never being on camera to just like sitting. I'm like, yeah, like I'm just doing this now. And so I'm very, very proud of that work, like extremely proud of it. And it was a blast. And then I realized, oh no, I love doing this. And I love talking about myself and being on camera. And so it's like, this is fun. And then I was like, I could do this. And then they'll take me around and I can paranormal investigate all these places all the time. Right. It's just a dream come true, So yeah, Lady of the Lake was great. Surrounded by Spirits was super fun. I got to film with my good friend Becky and my friend Viva, and Becky's friends were also there. And that was a really fun time. It was really chaotic. Filmed in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, which is one of the most haunted towns I've ever been to.
That show, like, I really like truthfulness in paranormal documentaries. I mean, anybody can fake stuff nowadays, and then like, anyway, that's a whole nother story, but there's genuine emotion on like, there's like knocks and thumps and things happening around you guys. And some people are like, I got to get out of here. And I was like, oh, that's nice that not everybody's like, come at me, ghost. Or like, let's go.
Yeah.
It really.
I wish I could go back in time and be a little bit more like, come at me to because Surrounded by Spirits, I won't give anything away, but like, it really did just kind of. I mean, it's very much unsolved. Like, and I don't think that's giving anything away, but right. I think it's cool to know that. Like, if you watch it, then you can go visit Brownsville and like, very much unsolved. We did not really help. I don't know if we did. Question mark. I don't know. But like there was so much that wasn't shown in that documentary too, of like just very weird experiences of like, I had like me and some of the other people filming, like we kept eating expired food, like these gas stations and places, like all the food was expired. So like everything we'd eat, we'd be like, this is expired. And like, I just ate pizza for like 4 days straight. We're all bloated and like, it was, like, it was just like literally, and people forget that those things matter on a paranormal investigation because it's a spiritual thing. So we're like miserable sort of, and like, but also like trying to power through. And it was just really interesting and like confusing. I don't know. It was cool. Surrounded by Spirits was cool too. And it's on Tubi now for free.
Yes.
So that's cool.
I want people to watch that for sure. And any like independently made paranormal investigation documentary, because they seem to be a lot of ways the most real in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? It's funny you mentioned like let's talk about like the grossness of ghost hunting. Because I've been to plenty of places, like back when the Villisca Axemanor House wasn't so problematic to visit. Like I'm talking like 15 years ago. It was the first time I went there. It was boiling hot in the Midwest. And if you go up and investigate the attic, it was so hot. And I'm going back. I went back and watched some of the old videos that we made from there and listened to some of the EVP sessions. And like, I'm like, you can hear me like wiping the sweat off my head up in that. And, it's nice to have a paranormal location that you're investigating that has a working bathroom. That's always great. There's a wonderful place that's very, very haunted. If you ever come to Nebraska or Iowa, the Malvern Manor. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, cool. I haven't.
It's very cool. Richard Estep's written a good book about it. A great book.
What book?
The Devil is... Hold on. It's right here. Here it is. It's on my... I joke with Richard. He's a longtime guest on my show, and I'm a Patreon supporter of his, but and I try and see him at least once a year. But I have like a Richard Estep. The shelf is going to turn into the Richard Estep bookcase pretty soon. This one right here, it's called "The Devil Coming to Get Me: The Haunting of Malvern Manor."
Oh, okay.
So
anyway, I love Richard. He's great.
Yeah, the guy is whip smart, right?
Yeah. He shared his table with me at Strange Escapes in Tombstone, which was very kind of him because, as you just said, he has a lot of books. So
was there room for anything of yours?
He scooched over. Luckily for him and for me, I only had stickers. So just like my little line of stickers. But no, Richard's super cool. We got to spend a lot of time. We drove to the airport together, so we got to spend some time. I like Richard a lot. He's really, really cool.
Well, he's written a cool book about his experiences in the Malvern Manor. But so there's two really very good restaurants in Malvern, but they close, not at a ghost hunting hour. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the only other place to really get food in Malvern, unless I'm wrong, Malvern residents, I'm sorry, but in my experiences, there's a Casey's gas station that has pretty good pizza. But I mean, like you're eating gas station pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
not a great bathroom.
It's almost the rule that like paranormal investigating goes hand in hand with like not eating well, no matter how hard you try, and also peeing in weird places. Like it's like inevitable, no matter how much you think you have it under control. Because as I've gotten older, I've tried to get it under control because I'm like, I cannot keep doing this like this, like I'm like, I'll pack a lunch or something. And like even last year, I worked with the state of Nevada doing like a spooky road trip, and they sent me through Eureka, Nevada, which had one restaurant in town, of course. And the grocery store closed super early. I drove in after it closed. They only have one restaurant. I go in. I ordered like it was like meatloaf and peas. It was like literally so weird. And bless their hearts, they were so nice. But
yeah.
and I was like, no matter how hard I tried, I still ate weird and then like peed in an underground tunnel,
Sure, right.
it was just weird. And I love it though. That's the kind of stuff though, that like, I was thinking like locally here, we have St. Ignatius Hospital, which is our closest like haunted location here.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to go there. I'll go there a few times a year, and they've got like a porta potty situation. They're very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer. And, but when I do it I'll go and I'll just like, no one will know. I won't post about it online, like nothing. Cause I just love it so much. That's what brings me back to those like 2008 days of ghost hunting. You need to have that mixed up in there too. Like your roots, Well,
when you're traveling around, if you make it through the Midwest and you come through the Omaha or the Nebraska, Iowa area, you need to check out the Malvern Manor. Very haunted.
I want a tornado chase in that area.
You say that, but let me tell you something. Last year, 2024, now I'm the host, like the on stage and MC of the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know I was talking to big dogs and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot field.
Yeah. The Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. It's a 2-day like conference held at the Nebraska State Fairgrounds. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. It's pretty fun. And so I get to introduce everybody on stage, and I get to do the raffles and, all that kind of stuff and the introductions and everything. Okay. So there's a documentary team, Brett Eichenberger and his wife, the name's escaping me right now. I can see her. She's lovely. Anyway, they were in town, or they were here for the Bigfoot Conference to promote and do a lecture series. But they were promoting their A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot documentaries. I don't know if you've seen them. They're fantastic. They have 2 of them. One is A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed, and the next one is A Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot. And the Flash of Beauty refers to as like the fleeting glimpse that you see of a Sasquatch. It's a flash of beauty. Yeah. Super cool people, Great filmmakers. If you ever get a chance to meet them at a con or something like that, please do, because they're wonderful people. Anyway, during last year's Bigfoot conference, a terrible tornado rolled through Nebraska and ripped up parts of Elkhorn, Nebraska, and outskirts of Lincoln. That's the capital city. So yeah, Brett was like, he's kind of a amateur storm chaser. And he was like, holy shit, I didn't know like we were going to go into that.
Yeah. It really scares me. But I mean, obviously I am prone to like adrenaline chasing and doing things that scare me. Yeah. And I also think it's just kind of hilarious, the parallels between storm chasing and paranormal investigating in pop culture, like on social media and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So many parallels with, if you just, I don't know, like if you just watch like some of the storm chaser channels on TikTok and stuff, the type of people are very similar, but totally different things that they're chasing after. But anyway, and I also I've never seen a big tornado in my life. I've been through one went through Billings, Montana, where I used to live. And it was so funny because my family was like, a tornado will never come down here. We're like down low. It'll never come down here. And I always said, because I watched the Weather Channel, I loved the Weather Channel. And I said, one day it will. And this tornado took the street and rode the street all the way down into town. And it came into town and ruined our arena and everything. It was like a big deal. But anyway, random tornado tangent. But like, I love...
It's thrill. It's thrill chasing. You know, it's that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar things. But yeah, that's what I think of when I think of Nebraska. I think it's fascinating. Also, Nebraska, though, I've seen lots of beautiful photography of that area. And like, it's beautiful down there. I feel like it's underrated. Those fields. Oh, so pretty.
Yeah. And you know, it's the gateway. Like you can, you drive through it, obviously, to get to Colorado if you're heading west. But it just like that whole drive is beautiful. And it can be very boring. And, you know, if oceans are your thing, Nebraska is not your thing. You know, if you want the snow-capped mountains, no, but it's got its own kind of beauty, and we're pretty proud of it. And her name is Jill. Sorry, Jill. I couldn't remember your name, but it popped into my head. So I don't know.
And what was the name of their documentaries again?
It's called A Flash of Beauty. Bigfoot Revealed is the first one, and A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot is the second one. And then they're working on a documentary with Ron Moorhead, who did the Sierra sounds, the Bigfoot camp sounds, the samurai chatter and all that kind of stuff. They're working on a documentary that's coming out. I just saw the trailer, and it's called Voices in the Wilderness.
Cool.
So, they're lovely people. They make just great he knows how to frame a shot like you wouldn't believe. He's cool. Great. Yeah.
I love all stuff. With that, I'll say I love all things weird and strange, you know? And so I'm always looking for new stuff with that. Bigfoot, I've had a couple experiences myself. And we're in like big Sasquatch country out here in Washington, especially where I'm at in Spokane, just north, like towards the Canadian border, is a place called Chewelah. And up there, they have a psychic Sasquatch festival. It's a big deal. We've also got some big Bigfoot people around here. But yeah, I don't know. And I've had a couple experiences. It's weird. But yeah. And then alien stuff's big out here too. Actually, I'm kind of sitting in a hot spot for like alien Bigfoot stuff in Washington State, but I don't talk about it enough because for some reason we've decided that they're bifurcated. Like there's 3 different camps, you know, or 4 if you include the witches, you know. But yeah. But yeah, I love all that stuff, all of it.
That was going to be one of my last questions. Besides ghosts, do you investigate other things? But yeah, you're right up there. And I mean, like when I was a kid, I took a vacation with my folks and we drove forever. And I ended up in, we went through Billings, Montana. I think you said you're from there or you lived there. And then we ended up in Sequim, Washington, which is like one of the most northern parts of the continental United States. And you can take a ferry to Vancouver. But I just remember being a little kid and being surrounded by all that beauty and the forest and the trees and all the wilderness and everything, just driving and looking at trees forever. It seemed like to a little kid. And I was thinking as a little kid, Bigfoot is out there someplace. And I think probably when I was a little kid, I thought there was probably only one, you know, like
the
Patty,
one Bigfoot.
Patty is out there.
is out here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're up there in God's country for sure. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Amanda, like I've had just a ball talking to you. I knew this was going to be a fun conversation, but I didn't know how much fun it was going to be. And like I said, I've been, like enjoying your writing and all your content that you've been making for years now. And to have you on the program, what a treat to get to meet you. And I hope to meet you in person someday at a convention or a con or something like that, or in some haunted location with questionable restroom facilities and.
You just come down to a basement and I'm just crouched in the corner and I'm like, oh, hey, Brian.
Hey, let's get some DoorDash.
Yeah, I've got pizza.
That sounds like a plan. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. And I look forward to your other writings, your other content, your other documentaries, things that are just on the horizon for you, Amanda. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Well, there we go, everybody. Episode 307 with Amanda D. Paulson. PrettyEffinSpooky.com. Had a lot of fun talking to Amanda. Whip Smart, that one. Just when I think I got things figured out, right? Then she comes out with this emotive touch point theory and blows everything out of the water. She's a great one. She's working out there and working hard for you. So make sure you visit her website, PrettyEffinSpooky.com. The link is in the show notes. And follow everything that Amanda is up to. You'll be glad that you did. Happy to have her on the show. And now, my friends, let's talk about the next show. Episode 308 will be coming your way pretty soon. I'm at a point in the Necronomicast now where I was like, I'm going to do a show every 2 weeks. That way I've got plenty of time to read. I got plenty of time to watch these documentaries and do all this research on my guests or on the topic being presented, right? I can't keep up. Like, it's a good problem to have. But like, I've got a backlog of shows. More and more, I've got like the first 3 months of 2026, tentatively scheduled. So these shows are going to come out more frequently. So there you go. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, episode 308. It's going to be entitled From Magic Words to Monsters. And it's going to feature actor Tobias Jelinek. Now you've seen Tobias before. He played Jay, the little punk in Hocus Pocus all those years ago. Hence the title of the episode, From Magic Words to Monsters. And now he's featured as serial killer Richard Speck on the Netflix smash Monster, the Ed Gein story. So we're going to talk about from his start on Hocus Pocus all the way through this new frightful show on Netflix and everything in between that he's been up to. Stranger Things, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., DC stuff, like just stuff on ABC. Tobias has done it all. Doing it all, and we also talk about like as an artist, being an actor in Hollywood. It was a lot of fun talking to him, so I'm looking forward to putting that show out. Probably, if you're listening to this as breaking news, is like the first day it's available, probably in about 9 or 10 days. So there we go. Hey, what'd you think of the new theme music at the top of the episode? Brand new Graveyard, featuring my friends Jim, Scott, and Nate, and myself. Gonna be, that was a band called Citizens Band. And we released 3 albums together. Jim wasn't on the first album, or our introductory EP. But I'm taking some of those tracks off the first album, deleting the old guitar player. Sorry. And then, it's cool. And then Jim's going to add some guitar in there. I'm going to freshen up the keys and do some remixing and reimagining of a couple of the songs from our first album and re-releasing them in 2026 for fun. And Brand New Graveyard is one of the tunes, which will now be immortalized as the theme music of Necronomicast. A nice bookend to this piece of music that you're listening to, entitled Possibly Olives, by my friend Andrew Vogt. 2-time guest on the podcast and also featured on my live stage show. So, how are you guys doing? Everybody okay? How's life? You all right? Good. I'm glad. I want to thank my friend who sponsored this episode, Amy Osborne. Yep, she did a great job. Did the world a great service by sponsoring this episode of Necronomicast. And you too can sponsor episodes of Necronomicast. I don't have a Patreon. Everything I create is for you, for everybody. But if you feel especially touched by an episode, feel free to go to buymeacoffee.com/Necronomicast. And I thank you for your continued support. Like the show, subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star review or a review. Send me an email. Let me know how you're doing. 2026 is going to be here before you know it. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you soon with a brand new episode of the world famous Necronomicast. And until then, go get some sleep. My friend Andrew Vogt will show us the door. Good night, everybody.